Hello, my name is Tom Pannett. In 2021, I retired from the Ohio Department of Transportation after serving as the administrator of the Office of Contract Sales and Estimating, and now work for the law firm of Kegler, Brown, Hill & Ritter in Columbus, Ohio. While at ODOT, it was my pleasure to work with contractors of all sizes across the state as they built the highways and bridges that are the lifeblood of Ohio's economy. Contract administration can come with a host of challenges and tasks. Whether you're a team of 5 or 205, it is important to know what actions are needed to ensure compliance with an awarded contract. In this video, we will talk about getting to know an ODOT construction contract, the phases of a heavy highway construction contract, ODOT construction contract documentation, and managing a construction contract from start to finish. First, let's establish what is contract administration. Contract administration is the management of all actions needed to ensure compliance with a contract. This can include estimating the work and materials needed for the contract, getting additional bids from other contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers who will provide products and services for the contract, preparing and submitting a bid, dealing with the nuances of the terms of the contract and changes to the project, and lastly, completing and submitting all the paperwork and legal documentation required by ODOT and other agencies. Before you begin, you must know the contract. The contract is the written document that explains the work to be performed, who is to perform the work, the expected due date, and the payment amount for services agreed upon by both ODOT and the contractor. It further explains the rights and responsibilities of both parties and the actions to be taken if there is a breach of contract when either party fails to keep their promise as agreed. This document is enforceable by law, and therefore it is important to understand its contents. The actual contract documents are hundreds of pages long for an ODOT heavy highway construction project, but beyond the paper, the spreadsheets, or the PDFs, there's a great deal of background information that potential bidders should know as they venture into working in this industry. Just like any major construction endeavor, highway and bridge construction starts many years before the shovels hit the ground. The need for the project often arises either because of a change in the surrounding land use or because a roadway or bridge deteriorates. As a contract is being developed to address the need or improvement, the contract undergoes 3 phases: the planning and design stage, procurement of the contract, and the management of the life cycle of a contract. As a need is determined, the need for that project is studied, a budget for that improvement is established, the project is evaluated and designed, and the design with all the associated documents are set forth in the procurement. Once a project is bid by ODOT and the contract is awarded to a contractor to build it, it will be managed by ODOT or their consultants from start to finish. It is important to know these phases of a highway construction project because it puts the effort of the project in perspective and also allows the construction contractors to understand all the people and entities that are impacted by the project, including not only ODOT, but the surrounding communities and the traveling public. Construction contracts can be as small as a few $1,000s to well over $1 billion. ODOT's bidding documents, including the plans, specifications, the bid files, will explain the project and the materials that are necessary to build it based on quantities and bid items. It is important to know the essential documents that are part of every construction project bid by ODOT. First and foremost, ODOT bids the majority of its projects through the authority granted to it by the Ohio General Assembly under Chapter 5525 of the Ohio Revised Code. There are many additional code sections that apply to bidding in Ohio, including Chapter 9, Title 13, Title 41, among others. All that law can be found in the Ohio Revised Code, and you can visit it under codes.ohio.gov for more information. Contractors should, however, seek guidance from an appropriate professional such as an attorney or an accountant as they review and interpret these sections of code. On the federal side, there are also many federal laws that apply to bidding, but highway contracts are mostly bid under Title 23 and Title 49. Contractors are expected to provide a bond, proof of insurance, contact information for their company, a legally signed contract agreement that complies with all the laws, policies, and contract documents just mentioned. Bonds for these projects are provided by private surety companies, and there are three required for each project: the bid bond, the payment bond, and the performance bond. Similarly, insurance is obtained from private insurance, and the insurance minimums are available through the ODOT contracts. Assistance and advice for bidding and insurance is available from ODOT. Once a bid has been received and opened by ODOT, a determination of that awarded bidder is made. The date of that determination is the bid letting date. On this date, you can see who won the contract and you can see the bidding documents. In addition to the law, ODOT has internal policies that dictate how certain projects proceed. For instance, they have very specific policies on emergency projects and on pre-bid questions. Pre-bid questions are the questions you can ask about a project or the contract prior to submitting your bid. All their policies can be found through the ODOT Construction Management website on ODOT's general link for all their policies and standard procedures. Contractors are expected to understand, use, and manipulate several software systems that ODOT requires for most contracts. Those are the Site Manager system. This is the current project management software used by ODOT, and it tracks project progress, payments, change orders, material testing requirements, and other project information. The Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan system, or the SWIP track system. This software requires separate licenses to be issued and purchased by the winning bidder on a project. It is used by ODOT and shared with agencies like the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency to monitor the compliance and progress of stormwater control on and off a project site. And Signet. Signet was created to verify compliance with prompt payment laws between all the parties to a construction contract. It and all the other systems are very important to know and understand well in advance of a bid. Failure to understand these systems or not provide the data necessary in and through them will cost a lot of time and money and could result in a failed project. People working on the contract will come from the contractor's own workforces or be solicited out of local union halls for the work needed. For example, project laborers or operators. Skilled labor is a critical component of any construction project, and there is no question that there is a shortage of must-needed workers in this industry. People are a primary part of any project, but so is the material used to build it. ODOT has specifications that dictate the type of material used for things like asphalt, concrete, steel, and stone. All those specifications and the testing protocols for many of the materials can be found in ODOT's Construction Materials and Specifications Manual. This manual is maintained by ODOT's Office of Construction Administration and is updated periodically. A fundamental component of a construction contract is time. Time to bid, time to subcontract, time to order materials, time to hire workers, and time to prosecute the work. ODOT requires a construction project management schedule, a CPM schedule, for each project to help keep it on time and to document progress. The CPM schedule assists all the parties in understanding how the work is going and any anomalies that may come up while it is ongoing, such as weather delays or late material delivery. The CPM schedule is explained more thoroughly in another resource library video. When a company is awarded a contract, they are considered the prime contractor. There are some contracts that can be performed solely by the prime contractor, but most require assistance from subcontractors and almost all require supplies from vendors other than the prime contractor. To hire a subcontractor on an ODOT construction project, a prime contractor must seek approval from the director prior to that subcontractor performing work on the project. The process for obtaining that approval is called the C-92 process. The request to subcontract is performed electronically when a prime contractor submits the C-92 form and shares the name of the subcontractor and proposed work they are to perform. The director or their designee normally can approve a C-92 application within a day. The C-92 form is also used to verify that the work a DBE is performing is properly accounted for. ODOT pays for work done based on estimates submitted by prime contractors to ODOT through its Site Manager system. Site Manager is the invoicing system used to pay for work completed, items ordered, or materials used on a project. That system also tracks changes to the work called change orders. Change orders must be agreed upon by ODOT before a contractor will be compensated for that work, and those agreements are provided in writing. Without a robust tracking system, it would be impossible for anyone to manage the work effectively. That is why all project personnel should understand how the site manager system works, and most should seek training on how to use it. Finally, a construction contract runs on documentation. So any good project manager will use a system like Site Manager to document how the project progresses from beginning to end. That documentation is how the parties exchange payments, how they know the work is being done properly, and how they can finalize a project and affirm that all their requirements are met and be ready to move to the next project. Heavy highway construction projects are not complete when the last stone is placed or seed of grass planted. There are closeout processes that need to be managed sometimes months or years after the last truck leaves the project limits. Additionally, contractors must execute finalizing documents such as an affidavit affirming that they met their DBE goals on the project. They must confirm that the DBE they used fulfilled the functions that they were contracted to perform and were fully paid, as should be all the suppliers and subcontractors used by a prime. The department must inspect the finished project and often has punch list items that the contractor must complete that they may have missed or were not performed to the department's specifications. Warranties are occasionally put in place for years after a project is completed, and they may require that rework be done if an item was defective at the time it was built. Bonds are closed out, and similar project documentation is provided to the department so a final evaluation can be performed. That final evaluation is documented on ODOT's C95 form, which is how both prime contractors and subcontractors are scored post-contract closeout or annually for long-term projects. There is a lot of effort that goes into the administration of an ODOT construction contract. From getting to know the contract better through research and review, to understanding the contract documentation and managing the contract from start to finish. The staff at the department are there to help explain any aspect of the process. A goal of all those involved is to have a successful project that is built correctly, on time, and on budget. As small and minority-owned businesses become more active in the heavy highway construction field, they should feel free to reach out to ODOT and others in the industry. Their success is a win for everyone who touches a project and is a high priority for ODOT and their partners in the Federal Highway Administration.
Feel free to visit us online at www.transportation.ohio.gov.